So welcome to the CMT Athletes Chat on the Challenge Athletes Foundation grant process. So today we're joined by three CMT athletes. We have James, Jennifer, and Anthony. So what we'll do is do a little introduction for everybody to start with. So first up, James.
Hi everybody, I'm James Cuizon. I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii. I've been a CAF athlete since I believe 2011. Received many grants from them, grants that's taken me as far as Germany and right here, home state at Ironman Kona here in Hawaii.
Jennifer.
I'm from San Diego, California. I'm a volunteer with the Challenge Athletes Foundation. I work in the office and as a photographer. I also am an athlete with them. They have helped me go skiing. Most of the time, that's what I've used my grant for, is to go to Colorado to ski, use a ski bike. I also do some surfing, and I've been an athlete with them for about 6 years and a volunteer for about 5.
Great, thanks, Jennifer. And now Anthony.
Hey, I'm Anthony. I'm a two-time Paralympian. I live in Northern California, and I have been a CAF grantee since 2014. And currently, I'm doing a little bit of work as a cycling mechanic and cycling coach.
Now, I'm Donna Dewick, and I'm going to be moderating this Q&A today. So I thought we could start with the first question is, what is a CAF grant? So I will, maybe Jennifer, you can shed a little light on what the CAF grants are and what the process is.
CAF Grant is the Challenge Athletes Foundation, the Access for Athletes grant. There are a couple other grants that they have, which is why I specified the Access for Athletes. They provide grants for people who want to participate in sports, whether it be recreationally or professionally. Any level, anything that's keeping you active, they would like to help you do those things. We all know that participating in those things costs money generally, whether it's equipment or travel or competition fees. So the organization itself raises money over the year to fund athletes like ourselves.
Great. And so when you talk about grants, how much money are you able to apply for?
Well, that varies on what you're applying for. So I don't have exact numbers to give because it definitely depends on what you are applying for. If it's travel, there's a difference in funds versus local versus international. So there are some guidelines that you can find on the FAQ page of the website. And it does give you some guideline on what to do as far as that goes. Otherwise, things like equipment, we can't give you a number because we don't know what you want. So when you tell us like, oh, I would like to find a quickie sports chair, then that is a number that is different than, say, a paramobile sports chair. So it is very dependent on what you're applying.
Okay, and when you talk about applications, when is the application period?
About 2.5 months long. It's September, first weekend in September to usually the first weekend in November. And there are no extensions, so it is a hard deadline.
Where can we find the applications? So what's the website?
ChallengeAthletes.org.
So let me ask James, what have you done with the Challenge Athletes grants? So when did you first apply and what have you received money for?
The first grant that I ever applied for was a training grant. It was during the time I was preparing for Ironman Coeur d'Alene, and I wanted to hire a coach. So I did some research, I found a coach, and I found out hiring a coach is a lot of money, really expensive, and didn't really know what to do at that point. And then I stumbled across the Challenge Athletes Foundation, Access for Athletes grant. So I went ahead and applied for the grant, and the first grant that I got with them was to hire a professional triathlon coach. Since then, I've applied for a number of different grants. grants that have taken me to as far as Germany, Race Challenge Roth, Boston Marathon, and also they helped me out with racing Ironman Kona. In addition to that, so there's a number of different things from travel expenses, coaching fees, or equipment are the three main categories that CAF can help with assistance with.
And what about you, Anthony?
I got my first grant in 2014. It was a travel grant to go to national championships and try to re-qualify for the team after a year off. Since 2014, I've been retired, so I haven't needed a whole lot.
Nice to say that you're retired from sports.
I'm still riding. I'm just not racing anymore.
So I know that there's another member of CMT Athletes who's applied for an equipment grant, and I think that she got money for electronic shifters because her hands started to get too weak to shift the bike.
I'm so appreciative, so in love with electronic shifting. It's possible to ride without it. You have to focus so much on what you're doing, especially for front shifts. It takes away a lot from the ride to have to worry about that, and getting the electronic shifting. Oh boy, that just clicking a mouse.
Amazing. And then you said, Jennifer, that you used your grant for skiing?
I did not think I would ever ski in my life. And I was offered the opportunity to try out a ski bike, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a bike with skis instead of wheels. And it's an amazing piece of equipment when you have a little bit of strength, but not enough to be staying upright properly. And it's been an amazing thing. So Colorado is one of the best, in my opinion, but closer places that allows the ski bike as adaptive equipment. They have an adaptive sports program out there. So I go to Durango to use that bike.
And what did you use your grant for? The travel or rentals, or how does that work?
For the travel, for me to have a flight and hotel over there. And then because of a connection that I had made earlier with that program, they also grant me a grant to take care of the lessons aspect of it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's pretty, so what I hear everybody saying is that the grants are pretty flexible.
Very flexible. I think one of the bigger aspects to keep in mind is they don't cover things that are covered by insurance. It's important to know that they're to keep active, not just the general AFOs that are often prescribed for people with CMT. So and that goes along with any of the disabilities and physical challenges that are come along with this group. Is if it's covered by insurance, CAF will most likely not be able to cover it.
I think that a grant requires a medical note. Is that right?
Just needs to have a medical statement that you have CMT, and it needs to be as little as that statement up into an actual full page doctor's note, whatever your doctor is going to be willing to do. As long as it's a medical doctor.
Need for like a reference, or is it just a note and an application what you want to spend what you would spend the money on?
So there are four main aspects to the grant. There is the grant that you are filling out, your bio, basically the information about you and why you want what you would like. There's the medical documentation. There's a personal reference, which can be from anybody. It just is about, again, why you are interested in what you're doing and how it could benefit you. So it's helpful to have somebody are involved in a sport already, to have somebody that's involved with that with you. If you're brand new, you're just getting into exercise and you have a good friend or a personal trainer or something of that nature that doesn't know you quite as well, but knows that you're interested in this, that qualifies as a personal reference. The financial aspect, you have to give your financial information. That is helping us determine in order of need. So it's not going to disqualify you in any way necessarily, but it does help us categorize better who needs what first.
Can you guys think of anything else that we might have missed about the process?
I would say get everything together, get all the documents in order as early as you can before the grant window opens, rather than waiting until the first weekend in September, because that time flies.
It goes very fast, and also the majority of the grants come in literally 24 hours before the deadline. Like the last 48 hours before the deadline are when everybody's dumping that stuff in. So if you want to be ahead of the grade, if there's anything that's missing, that's the better time to have that in. It's also better with questions. If you come along and you find a question, the CAF staff is very, very busy during this time. So they'll get to your question, but it may not be as quickly as you like, and that will affect how quickly you fill out your application.
So it's not long, but a lot of us have our doctor's information to hand. And so hopefully could pull that together. And a lot of people know how they would spend their money. Their wish list would be, or what race or event they'd like to do, or if they'd like some help from coaches. So, or even just to get a new bike to start down the path of getting active. So hopefully that should be straightforward for people, even coming in at close to the deadline. James, anything from you?
One thing I would like to add about the grant process, it may sound intimidating, but it's very easy to do. I mean, it's set up through a website. You can answer all your questions on a form, and it's just about uploading your documents. So it's not a very hard application. Granted, it does take a little time, but it's fairly easy. So I really encourage everyone to get out there and at least apply that application in, because Bob Babbitt said, helping athletes to get back into the game of life through sport. Having that work-life balance is really important. So even if you're not a top-tier athlete, if you're just a beginner athlete, we really encourage you, just get moving. That's the best thing you could do for your body, is just to keep on moving no matter what it is.
In that regard, I would like to help people who would like to get up and do something but maybe aren't quite sure how to get out and do it or what to do. Consider an e-bike. My dad and I were able to get our hands on e-bikes this year, and I spent 25 years racing regular bikes, but my fatigue is such that I need an e-bike now, and it has been a game changer. You're not going to be able to do a lot of the competitions on an e-bike, but you can do fun rides and get out and start doing something, and you're going to get a workout, so you can use it to start getting in shape. And then maybe a year or two later, get a regular bike and get into triathlon or cycling if that's what you want. But consider a grant for an e-bike. It's one of the greatest and easiest and most fun ways to get up off the couch.
And I know that there are some people in our group that use trikes as well.
That hand cycles are also a big one along those lines.
All of those are expensive, but they are, if you need the one that you need, and it's hard to substitute anything else.
We're going along the lines of biking here, but if people aren't confident getting out and trying things, another option is to apply for a grant to just start going to a gym. Want something to test out, see where you're at, and know what you might enjoy. It's an indoor thing, but hey, there's a pool a lot of times. There's different equipment. You might find something that piques your interest, and then build up to those outdoor ones if you don't have that confidence in yourself athletically.
I have a question, Jennifer. For the San Diego CMT athletes, CAF has a gym at their location. Is that available to just CAF athletes, or is that available to athletes in general?
Usually it's appointment based, like we just need to know you're coming.
Okay.
But I have never heard of an athlete being turned away. Unless that space is being taken. Sometimes when we have events and we have tons of boxes and things, there are those moments because it is an office as well. But yes, the actual headquarters has a small basketball court and a gym. And they do a few clinics there, like sitting volleyball and a few other things as well. In San Diego specifically, and this is only San Diego, I apologize, but they also CAF also offers a gym grant through the YMCA. If you're a San Diego resident, you can apply for a grant so that you can go to any YMCA here in San Diego. It's a partnership that the YMCA and San Diego CAF made together. So there isn't, they haven't branched it out yet. It's kind of a trial, but that's also something to be aware of if anyone is watching from San Diego.
That's really cool. I like the idea of being able to apply for a grant to just try out the gym or to go to your local gym and try different things. So we all start somewhere.
I very much consider myself a non-athlete athlete. I can't really do a lot of athletics, or I find difficulty keeping up with even a lot of my CMT buddies. And so if I can find those beginning ways to let you feel safe, maybe make those jumps, I think that's really important for us that are maybe not as confident that we can get there. And those little steps help us make those jumps.
Saying that I always gravitate to is what the founder of Nike said, which is that if you have a body, you are an athlete. And it's just a matter of figuring out a way that you feel comfortable to start or to use or to try things. So that's my mantra. And it sounds like with a CAF grant, you can explore different ways to be active. And there's so many different ways that we have. I mean, you've already mentioned seated volleyball, or cycling, or triathlon, or swimming, or the gym. But I mean, sit skiing, adaptive surfing. I mean, there's just so many different ways that we can get active. It's just finding, I guess, what makes us interested.
The first step is the hardest, and that's just picking a sport and getting up and starting it. Just doing that first workout, the first session, the first whatever. So yeah, best advice is don't wait, go ahead and do it. Apply for a grant, pick a sport, and do something. Get up and do it now.
Thank you guys very much for sharing your time.